Do you know about Sigma females? They're like the quiet leaders in social groups. Usually we talk about alpha and beta females, terms that describe women's roles in social hierarchies. But there's another type that's just as interesting and not talked about as much. The Sigma female. The Sigma female is the most misunderstood archetype in modern society. She's not just an introvert, not just a loner, but a complete recalibration of what feminine power looks like when it refuses to perform for the male gaze or patriarchal expectations. While the world obsesses over alpha females who lead with visible dominance and beta females who support the social structure, the Sigma operates on a frequency most people can't even detect. She's the woman at the party who leaves without saying goodbye. The colleague who delivers flawless work but skips the team photos. The lover who gives everything but never loses herself in the relationship. What makes her dangerous isn't aggression or loud rebellion, but her absolute indifference to the rules of engagement everyone else blindly follows. Where alphas need followers and betas need belonging, the Sigma female needs only her own approval, her own company, her own evolving standards of success that would seem alien to those trapped in conventional hierarchies. Historically, we can trace Sigma traits through women who changed the world from the shadows. Hypatia of Alexandria teaching philosophy while refusing marriage. Mary Shelley writing Frankenstein in isolation after societal rejection. Simone Weil choosing factory work over academic prestige to understand suffering. These weren't just independent women, they were case studies in Sigma consciousness centuries before the terminology existed. The modern Sigma might be the digital nomad building an empire from her laptop in Bali, the single mother quietly homeschooling brilliant children, or the corporate strategist who lets louder colleagues take credit while she accumulates real influence. Her power comes from understanding that visibility is often weakness. That attention is usually a trap, and that true freedom comes from selective participation in systems she can't completely avoid. Psychologically, the Sigma female represents something radical. Proof that female socialization can be unlearned, that the craving for approval can be surgically removed, that a woman can rewire herself to draw energy from solitude rather than extract it from social validation. While other personality types are busy performing their roles, the alpha chasing dominance, the beta seeking harmony, the Sigma is engaged in something far more subversive. She's deconstructing the game itself, realizing early that most social rules exist to benefit those who didn't make them, that popularity is often just compensation for lack of substance, and that real security comes from cultivating internal resources no one can tax or take away. Her development follows distinct phases. First, the awkward girl labeled too serious, who prefers books to sleepovers. Then the young woman who endures accusations of being cold when she refuses to fake smiles for comfort, eventually maturing into the unshakable presence who makes insecure people nervous precisely because she can't be manipulated through normal social pressures. Unlike the alpha whose confidence comes from external validation, or the beta whose identity forms through community, the Sigma's strength is entirely endogenous. She becomes herself by subtraction, by removing societal conditioning layer by layer until only her essential nature remains, a process as painful as it is liberating. In professional settings, Sigmas break every stereotype about female leadership. They don't network compulsively, but attract opportunities through undeniable competence. Don't play office politics but render them irrelevant by making themselves too valuable to undermine. won't pretend enthusiasm for corporate platitudes, but will move mountains for projects that align with their private standards of excellence. The working Sigma is often underestimated until the moment her accumulated leverage becomes undeniable. She's the employee who resigns without warning when disrespected, the founder who builds a company without press tours, the artist who releases groundbreaking work under a pseudonym. Her career trajectory follows an invisible logic that baffles those obsessed with climbing visible ladders. Romantically, the Sigma female represents both the ultimate fantasy and ultimate threat. She loves with terrifying depth, but never loses herself, commits completely, but maintains unbreakable boundaries, can walk away from years of connection the moment her non-negotiables are violated. Her relationships either reach legendary depth or end with forensic finality. There are no messy breakups, just decisive severings when she recognizes an irreparable mismatch. What makes her so magnetic is precisely what makes her so dangerous to conventional relationship paradigms. She cannot be controlled through guilt, won't perform emotional labor on demand, and rejects the idea that partnership requires the dissolution of self. Philosophically, the Sigma embodies principles that would have made her a target in previous centuries. Radical self-ownership, indifference to reputation when it conflicts with truth, the understanding that most social rituals exist to maintain control rather than connection. She's the living rebuttal to every lie women have been told about their nature. Proof that femininity doesn't require nurturance at all costs, that ambition isn't unfeminine, that emotional intelligence can be weaponized for self-protection, rather than just others' comfort. The Sigma's greatest challenge isn't external, but internal. The constant temptation to soften herself for easier digestion by a world terrified of uncompromising women. The moments of doubt when society pathologizes. Her comfort in solitude. The cultural gaslighting that frames her boundaries as pathology rather than wisdom. What she learns through painful experience is that every concession to social expectation chips away at her power, that each compromise, just this once, creates a precedent others will exploit, that her only path to peace is ruthless consistency in protecting her energy. Her spiritual practice looks nothing like mainstream mindfulness. It's the Stoic acceptance of life's brutality without despair, the alchemical transformation of isolation into self-possession, the daily recommitment to truth over comfort. Where others seek enlightenment, the Sigma seeks sovereignty, not transcendence of the self, but complete inhabitation of it, knowing that in a world of performative identities, simply being wholly yourself becomes revolutionary. Economically, Sigmas pioneer unconventional paths. They're early adopters of remote work before it was trendy. Creators of passive income streams that buy back their time. Masters of under-the-radar wealth accumulation that avoids the performative spending. Of status-seeking cultures. Their financial strategy mirrors their life philosophy. Silent, efficient, designed for maximum freedom rather than maximum visibility. In crisis, the Sigma reveals her true mettle. Where others panic or seek saviors, she draws on reserves of self-trust and contingency planning invisible to those who mistook her quiet for passivity. Her emergency preparedness isn't just physical, but psychological. She's already imagined every worst-case scenario and stands ready to execute exit strategies while others are still processing the disaster. The Sigma's relationship with femininity is uniquely her own. She may embrace hyper-feminine presentation or reject it entirely, not from rebellion, but from genuine indifference to external categorization. What matters isn't how she performs gender, but how completely she's reclaimed the right to define it for herself. The ultimate Sigma flex being that even her aesthetic choices serve her own sensibilities rather than any expectation or trend. Culturally, she's both ahead of her time and outside of time entirely. The early adopter of technologies that enhance autonomy, the skeptic of trends that promise connection but deliver dependency, the quiet critic of movements that replace one form of conformity with another. Her cultural commentary isn't delivered through rants but through lifestyle choices. Every decision to opt out of dysfunctional systems being a silent indictment of their failure. The Sigma's legacy isn't built on monuments but on influence. The mentee who credits her quiet guidance, the friend who found courage in her example, the systems that changed because she refused to participate in their brokenness. Her immortality lies not in fame, but in impact. The way her existence gave others permission to question, to resist, to choose themselves unapologetically. To recognize a Sigma female in your life is to encounter someone who will either transform you or unsettle you. There is no neutral response to such concentrated authenticity. She serves as both mirror and magnet, reflecting back the parts of yourself you've abandoned to fit in while drawing you toward the possibility of living with the same unvarnished integrity. The final paradox of the Sigma female is that for all, her independence, her greatest gift may be connection, not the superficial bonds of social obligation, but the rare, electrifying meeting of equals who recognize each other beneath the armor. In a world of transactional relationships, her capacity for depth becomes revolutionary. Proof that true belonging begins with the courage to stand alone.